This week on Sportsman TV, we're traveling. Green trout from the top to the bottom. Come on, go with us. You know, I'm not going to tell you exactly where we are today, but I will tell you that we're on one of many Mississippi River oxbows that are landlocked. And what I mean by that, they're outside the levee. I've been around some as far north as Tennessee that are like this, from Tennessee all the way. I guess the last one would be around Morganza. Would be the last one of this kind. But man, they're great fishing. They don't have current. The river doesn't affect them anymore. They all pretty much look the same. Some of them have more houses than others, and they have boat docks. They pretty much all have ancient cypress trees. This particular one that we're on is one I actually grew up fishing as a kid. But they're cool places to fish. They're real scenic. They're real natural. And like I said, you know, I'm not sure, but how many there are in the state, but there are lots. There are lots of them. Well, basically yesterday. You know, typically this time of the year, today's a little more like normal, but we still have that wind. It's cooler. But the deal was yesterday I caught most of them frogging. You know, they were out around this stuff. They weren't really in it. I could tell today, you know, they're, up more closer to the cover, relating. And they're eating crawfish, and I know that from the ones I caught yesterday. So today I'm probably going to end up flipping more of them. We're going to fish deep. I got a deep place found. I'm gonna crank. You know, we'll have to change it up a little bit just because of the weather. Yesterday, I could just get on the trolling motor and fly down the bank and catch them. They were real aggressive. They were not up in the cover because it was cloudy, wind blowing. You know, we just had this tropical storm deal pull through, and we're kind of on the tail end of it. So it's almost like we're having a cold front in the summertime.
Here at Bowie Outfitters, we know that bow hunting is a year-round pursuit of perfecting your game. That's why we operate a full indoor archery range, stock our shelves with the best accessories on the market, and offer a service and repair shop. We carry top brands like Hoyt, Bowtech, PSC, Matthews, Bear, Barnett, Mission, 10 Point, and more. Bowie Outfitters. Everything outdoors.
Arctic Ice loves the outdoors. Wherever your next adventure takes you and your cooler, use Arctic Ice to keep your food and drinks cold and dry. It's also great for keeping live wells cool, so fish and bait stay healthy. You can even keep frozen food or game frozen for days. Cold or frozen, Arctic Ice has got you covered. 3 brands of Arctic Ice let you choose the temperature you want for your cooler. You never have to buy ice again. Watch the videos at arctic-ice.com. Check out our new Chill and Brew Team Sport colors, great for tailgating. Remember, it's not just ice, it's Arctic Ice.
Don't just be a sportsman, look like one too. Men, women, kids, everyone wants to look like a good sport. And now you can find it all in one place without leaving the house. Our popular Sportsman brand apparel and accessories are just a click away at forsportsman.com. T-shirts, caps, polarized sunglasses, jewelry, tumblers, and more are available in a variety of sizes and colors. It's easy to show the world that you are a sportsman. Visit forsportsman.com today and get that perfect sportsman item for yourself or as a gift for that sportsman in your life.
Fishing. It's where good stories come from. It's about good times and family and friends. It's about taking a couple home for dinner tonight and saving a few for tomorrow. It's all about that and so much more. To CCA, fishing is about enjoying today and making sure tomorrow is even better. To us, fishing comes with a responsibility for the resources we enjoy so much. If fishing means all that to you, then you belong with CCA.
Typically, most of the bass in our part of the country are not nomadic. You know, they're real they're real homebodies. Now, Toledo's a little different because it's such a large reservoir, and you know, a fish may get on this point and then move down this grass line. But like a fish on these natural lakes, like you know, these Mississippi River oxbows, like the water's up, so that fish can, you know, that grass is good. And if the water goes down, then that fish just pulls and gets on that cypress tree right there, on those other cypress trees. There's not a lot of options. And most all of these lakes are, you know, there's not a lot of deep structure unless, you know, crappie and sac-a-lait fishermen, you know, put brush piles out. About every one of these oxbows, regardless of which one you're on, are about the same. You got a deep side and you got a shallow side, a flatter side and then a side that's deeper. That's the change. They're not real diverse. Well, you just have to make adjustments. Because like I know, now today we're dealing with a little bit different weather from what I had yesterday. And so I'm still kind of experimenting, but I know, like today, I didn't throw a jig yesterday. When I caught them flipping, they were on a piece of plastic. But they were so aggressive, I thought today I'd go to a jig. I know they're eating crawfish. I want a little bigger profile. I want us to catch a bigger one, you know? So that was the reason I did that. So I have picked me out a stretch. I'm gonna fish from these trees up past those other ones with this jig. And if I don't get bit, I'm gonna go back to plastic. I'm gonna make an adjustment, because I know I'm around them. And they were super aggressive yesterday, so they showed themselves. So I'm gonna fish through there, you know, I'm gonna give them a little bit of time. If they don't bite that jig, I'm gonna go back to the same piece of plastic, or I will keep adjusting till I figure out what they're doing. They change every day, but they didn't vacate the area. Yesterday they were on the windy side of the tree. Maybe today they're on the downside. You know, I mean, they make little adjustments like that, and you just kind of have to adjust with them. But yeah, you know, like Concordia, Bruin, St. John's, Lake Providence, I mean, those are all real good ones. And all of these lakes seem to have potential to produce an 8 or 10 pounder. Occasionally somebody catches, you know, giant fish out of them also. The water's typically always pretty green, which means it's fertile. You know, has a lot of good nutrients in it. You know, we're fishing in a hurricane today, so that's gonna make it a little different. But see, that wind has blown long enough now, it's kind of dirtied the water on this side, which, you know, sometimes helps. It'll just, we'll know here shortly. But that other side, I couldn't make them bite over. You know, and it's so weird. What's so weird about that is, like, I know for a fact. Now, see, the deal is, had I not fished yesterday, and you'd have fished down that stretch, I'd have sworn there's no fish over there. But I know better. Because yesterday when they were super aggressive, you know, I saw them. Now, that last dock we fished, I caught a big one off of, you know, I mean, but that's fishing and they change, you know, and I probably beat that dead horse a little too long. Because we were getting bit over here in the wind, you know. I didn't think the wind was that big a factor, so the other side was easier to fish. So time will tell. There he is. Come off, I think. Well, I'd say, Jared, that this side is definitely better in the wind. 2 hours on the other side. Did not have a bite. And it took 5 minutes to get a bite over here. So I mean, and the other deal with that is, now he didn't get it very good. You see he's hooked outside the mouth, but I don't think this side is any better than the other side as far as fish. I just think the conditions, the wind, you know, it just seemed like the water's just a little too clear over there. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't get bit. Because like yesterday, that grass was a huge deal. So and it's moving. You know, it's had a lot of wind on it, you know, today. Yesterday it had some, but not like it does today. So it'll be interesting to see if I can catch them off that grass because it's moving. Sometimes that doesn't seem to affect them, but sometimes it does, you know, and they'll be on them hard targets because they're not moving. The water's moving around it, but the cover's not moving. But I thought maybe what happened, you know, if that happens to be the deal with the crawfish, if the crawfish are really in that, see, I don't know. You know, I caught fish off of that grass, I caught them off cypress trees, and they all had crawfish, you know. But you would think, in reality, with that wind blowing on that grass and that grass moving around, maybe them crawfish would be active, feeding, you know, too. Because a lot of times, that's what the deal is with the shad. It's not that the wind blew the shad over on this bank, it just stirred up the water and there was a lot of food for them, so they get on windy banks, and then the bass, of course, you know. Well, I went to a more natural, you know, less loud. Actually went to a brim color. Now see, he's got crawfish tentacles sticking out. He's eating crawfish. I was actually gonna go to a red one. I decided to use this one first, and I also went to a wooden plug so I wouldn't get hung as much.
Bowie Outfitters is your one-stop shop for all types of outdoor cooking. Tailgating? We've got Bayou Classic barbecue pits and King Cooker jambalaya pots. If frying's your favorite, check out R&V Works Cajun fryers and Cajun injector products to keep meat moist and flavorful. Black iron skillets are key in a southern kitchen, and Bowie carries a big selection of Lodge cast iron, plus Bayou Classic pots for your next crawfish boil. Come to Bowie Outfitters and let us get you cooking. Bowie Outfitters, everything outdoors.
Man, what a year. What a year. Life-changing. All the way from my home in Louisiana to the Great Lakes up north in Michigan. I did it. You know, I didn't do it by myself. It takes a team, man. It's all about the team. Nobody gets there alone. Nope. Man, thank you, Strike King.
LouisianaSportsman.com is the South's premier hunting and fishing website. Planning a hunting or fishing trip? Visit LouisianaSportsman.com and get up-to-the-date information on weather, tides, or solar data. Our breaking news and continually updating forum will keep you up to date, or visit our report section and ask the locals what's been biting and where. Need to sell or buy an outdoor item? LouisianaSportsman.com's free classifieds are the quickest way for you to reach the outdoor market. LouisianaSportsman.com, the quick way to get the most of the outdoors.
Managing wildlife is hard work, and Buckbuster's Seed Company understands. That's because we're hunters too. We've tested our seeds with science and developed a proven formula for attracting deer and turkeys. Unsure about what to plant on your food plot? Try our basic fall mix for hunting season success and our premium seed mix for year-round nutrition. Buckbuster's Seed Company, the most complete and cost-effective seed mixes on the market.
The marshes, lakes, and bays of western Terrebonne Parish are some of the most productive speckled trout, redfish, largemouth bass, and duck habitat in the state of Louisiana. A key reason for the productivity is the health of the area's marshes. thanks to annual influxes of freshwater and sediment from the nearby Atchafalaya River. While marshes in eastern Terrebonne are vanishing faster than any other habitat in the world because of saltwater intrusion and a lack of sediment, the ones to the west are some of the healthiest in the state of Louisiana. Officials with the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority are using oil spill recovery dollars to help increase water flows from the Atchafalaya Basin into Terrebonne Parish marshes, to help increase vegetation growth and help distribute sediment into the system. Sportsman's groups like the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership and its partner organizations and conservation organizations have identified increased freshwater flows out of both the Atchafalaya River and the Mississippi River as a way to deliver sediment into sediment-starved marshes, limit saltwater intrusion, and increase fish and wildlife habitat. For more information about TRCP's work in the Gulf and our work with our partner organizations on fisheries issues across the country, please log on to our website, www.trcp.org. Thank you for your support.
We're fishing around Lake Mishaw in Dularge, and this is more of a brackish area where in the winter months we catch trout and some bass, and then in the summer months we usually just catching reds and bass.
Oh, a green one. The marsh bass is not any more saltwater tolerant than the bass that lives in Toledo Bend. They're all the same species. There's been, quite a few studies done on that because they thought they were a subspecies. Like a Florida strain is considered a subspecies of but basically their systems all shut down about the same time. Now, with that being said, of course, these fish that grow up in this environment, as soon as they start to feel the salinity level come up, of course, they know to move. I guess they're more, a fish that's born in the marsh is more apt to survive in it, It's such a violent place for a true freshwater fish like a bass or a bluegill to live that, they seem to have a short lifespan. They don't get to grow 7, 8, 9 years, and grow to 10 pounds just because it is such a harsh environment. So something happens, and it's not necessarily always saltwater that kills them either, depending on rainfall and what happens. The oxygen will go out of these places and they'll get trapped. Like say this is all fresh and then the saltwater pushes them all back and they're all wadded up in that back pond and they're away from the saltwater. Then something comes through, turns the water over, it loses oxygen, you lose that whole population of fish. So it seems like our fish go and come a lot. We don't have, like I said, you don't fish for 7 and 8 year old marsh bass. It doesn't happen. Even at a place like Venice where the water stays real fresh a lot, storm will come through, typically at the best, they get to be, when they get up by 5 or 6 pounds, it always seems like something happens and wipes them out and they start over again. The cool thing is, they pretty much get to grow year round because of our climate, and you can just, anytime you're in one of these places, you see how much bait, they're from crab, shrimp, marsh bass eats everything. Mullet, there's a lot of forage, so they do grow real fast. They just don't seem to get real big, That's the greenest redfish, Jared, I've ever seen. Thing looks funny looking, doesn't it? Must be some of that river water getting in here. Man's pointing at the fish box up there. I guess let me measure him, Jared, and see if he's. Oh yeah, no problem. Making the cut. Got a little Arctic ice in there to keep him just right.
That's right. Okay.
2,000 yards. A lot.
The cool thing about that, about a Texas rig and this worm, is that, you know, he's catching some on that little old swim bait deal, but the deal is you can't, they have to be in an opening or you stay hung. And so that's just a little, it's called a cutter worm. It's got a swimming tail on it. And I'm gonna rig it up, you know, what's called Texas rig, just because I suppose that a slip sinker and a hook rig first started in Texas is the reason. I'm not sure about the, but basically, you know, it's an offset worm hook, and you're basically hiding the hook in the plastic. Now, with this style of hook, I come all the way back through, and the hook is actually sticking out the other side of the worm, and then I just skin hook the point. So the only part that I have to pull the hook point through in the fish is just the point, because that's the only part that's covered. And then by rigging it up like that, I can cast out in those lily pads and reel it in over that grass. But with it rigged up Texas rig, I first had a weighted hook on there. And the only problem with that is when you let that weighted hook fall, it causes the worm to fall like this, which makes it fall real slow. By rigging it up Texas rig, then that way it'll go in holes in that grass, and I can swim it or stop it and fish it on the bottom, you know, whatever, just kind of an all around deal. But it's real simple, and it catches them all over the planet pretty much year round.
Over here at Bowie Outfitters, hunting and fishing is our passion. We can help you pick all the right gear for your next fishing trip. We spend time in the woods too, so we know what products to recommend when hunting season comes around. We understand the outdoors and what it takes to have success on your hunting and fishing adventures. So come on down to Bowie Outfitters and let us help get you going. Bowie Outfitters, everything outdoors.
The 2015 Dream Season Decree is a deadly combination of speed and precision. It's built for the moments when time stands still. When the only thing that will break the silence is an arrow slicing a clean path to the kill zone. The bow of your dreams is a nightmare for big game. This is PSE's Decree. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
The original Sportsman Cool Breeze shirt has been greatly improved. This new version has a moisture-activated cooling technology, which actually turns your sweat into cooling power. Ventilated mesh sides add extra breathability. It's UPF rated and antimicrobial. It comes in 5 different colors and is now also available in short sleeve. Get yours now at forsportsman.com. Sportsman, it's who we are.
I'm Stephen Parks, and I'd like to introduce you to Blue Wave Boats. It's been founded and owned by the Parks family since 1992. We specialize in building custom, high-performance, quality fishing boats. So there is no more having to settle. Each Blue Wave boat ranks high in every category that matters, from the speed, the quality, the performance, and the features built into the boat. And we've loaded these boats with everything you're going to need to make your day on the water a success every time.
Okay, if you look, like we came through a cut there, which, you know, definitely is going to force the water through that hole, and then you break out into this big area, big wide area. But because of the vegetation, if you look, see, the wind's out of the south. Even though we don't have much tide movement today, like far as how much the tide was going to move, that wind is pushing that water with that little bit of tide movement. That wind just kind of amplifies it. And so when that water comes around and comes through that hole, instead of it spreading out with all this vegetation, it's forcing down this lane. This has got a hard shell bottom. You can see the shells on the bottom when, you know, the water's clean. And it's got scattered patches of grass. So these fish are set up in these little patches of grass, and they're just ambushing everything that the current, you know, the tide is pushing, you know, through the grass. And then, of course, when the tide turns around and moves, it'll do the same thing.
The trout bite's been on fire when the winds have been calm. It's been just phenomenal fishing. But this morning we woke up, it's blowing 15 miles an hour. Yesterday we went out in 15 to 20 mile an hour winds and 2-foot seas. It's too rough, dirty water, windy. Fish just aren't biting when conditions like that. So we backup plan today was to stay in the marsh, focus on reds and bass. So working out so far, doing pretty good on the bass. We're trying to find a few more redfish.
Marsh monster. That's what's been eating. Got a redfish in his mouth. That's what's went with the redfish today. Dang green trout eating up all the redfish. From Mississippi River oxbows all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, we've caught green trout in every way, fashion, form known to man. It's time to relax here at the Reel Inn. Join us here next time on Sportsman TV.